Got the inside. Does Leskola send it deep? Yes, he does. He knows he's going to have to force Rolla a little bit wide, but he leaves him space. Rolla gets the inside, coming down to the Sachs curb, but he's timid on the brakes, and almost a Vettel situation there with Yuko Leskola taking it deep, but somehow he holds on, and they carry on this side-by-side battle. Now into the south curve and around, still on the inside. Yuko Leskola will not give way.
Here they come on to the front straightaway towards Nordkurv. Someone's going to have to give here. You can't go through this thing too wide, and Yuko finally gives up the ghost and lets Billy go through, but Billy takes it a little bit too deep. Yusko's got another opportunity towards the entrance of the Parabolica.
This battle will not quit. Down to the Parabolica entry. He's got the inside one more time. Will the throttle pedal make the difference here coming off the corner? It does seem to for Vili Rolla. He briefly has a nose ahead, but now momentum goes back to Yuko Leskola. It's the long way around the Parabolica, but it'll be the inside coming down into the Spitzkara. This has been an incredible battle. They've now practically gone a full lap side by side here. Down into the corner and smoking the tires once again. Leskola somehow manages to make that shallow line work. Yep, this is down into turn 2. Really wants to cut into that apex, but there is that gray and blue car there. It carries on as it swings back through turn 3. Muirhead gets a little bit of an edge. Excuse me, Boucher does. But now, as they come to the left-hander, this is not the place he wants to be. He lifts a little bit early. He still carries the speed through, goes a little wide. Is that one going to count, or is he going to be given a slowdown? It counts. And Boucher is going to move into 10th.
We've got a little bit of a pass going on here. Mies trying to make the move down to the inside here as they go into Cunningham. Side by side with Felipe Loyola. And that is going to be Mies with the nose ahead. Tries to give a little bit of an elbows out move, but now the track is going to favor back to Felipe Loyola. Under heavy braking. Who's it going to be?
We got a battle farther up ahead, and this is Karthik Pai side by side Leno Frisha. Leno's going to be able to get ahead of him. He's going to go for another one. He's not just taking one, but he's too hot in the corner, and that goes into the side of the Texan. And in the midst of it all, how about Ove Trangrade getting 3 spots in a single corner?
But handling it well, did exactly the right thing, came off the throttle, just kept the wheel as straight as he could, eased the car back up on as he comes past the lap traffic here. Scarali, is that Scarali who went off up there? Is he going to get up? It looks like he's going to catch Scarali. Scarali's getting caught up with this lap traffic as Chiquita tries to get around him going through. Oh, nice pass. Mr. Sneaky pulls it off again.
This is what he's been waiting for. Now he definitely has enough speed, but oh, look, he's not even as close as he is. He's not able to use that toe to try and attack, so he's going to go around the outside, trying to break deeper, cutting back underneath, but that's going to give the inside down into the chicane to Tom Layton. Can he do it here this time? No, breaks a little bit earlier. Shallow line, another chance to maybe pull the over-under, but it's not there as he parks it on the apex. Last week was new school, this week is old school. COTA's expansive paved runoffs offered a lot of wiggle room to the drivers, but Oulton Park takes all of those niceties away and throws them in the trash. Here, it's either racetrack or not? Will it send anyone into the barriers? Find out soon as we get ready to watch round 8 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Oulton Park did see F1 races, but long before the Lotus 79. Let's see what it has in store for these ground effect machines. Welcome to Oulton Park Circuit. This British track to the southeast of Liverpool is a staple in the UK club racing scene, but has also hosted series as high level as Formula One a few times, at least with a small asterisk next to those events since they were non-championship rounds. The history and the lore of the venue is as unique as the layout itself. But that layout is more than just the international circuit this place is known for. An incredible 8 different versions can be run, but they all range between 1.5 to 2.5 miles in length. It's not exactly a long lap around here. What it lacks in that realm, it more than makes up for in bumps and hills. On top of that, Oulton Park offers some very fast corners, so you certainly won't get bored. Turns like Island Bend, Knickerbrook, and Druids can be utterly fearsome depending on which chicanes are at it. But even the slower corners often involve blind crests or kinked entries, making passing a very difficult prospect. In modern day, the place is mainly visited by touring cars, GT cars, motorcycles, and Formula 3. But here on iRacing, it's quite popular with the vintage community. Needless to say, this is a track that carries on the British tradition of fast, old-school style circuits that challenge and thrill drivers. It'll no doubt be a blast for both our competitors and fans today. Well, DJ, when I say old school for this track, I really mean old school. They've taken the chicanes away in this version. That's going to make this an incredibly fast circuit.
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly fast, incredibly flowing, but that still means that there's going to be plenty of opportunities to overtake, Joe. We've seen many a time some good battles going down through Old Hall and even into Cascades. Obviously, Shell Oil's corner, with the way that it is cambered, sets up a very good opportunity to not only overtake, but potentially get a run down to the backstretch, as Knickerbrook really now will become one of A, the trickiest corners on the track, and B, one of the best overtaking opportunities. But in these Lotus 79s, you've got to be careful every way through. I'm not even going to bother going through and talking about the tricky areas, because pretty much every corner on this track is just begging one of these drivers to catch them out.
And I'm sure we'll catch at least a few out as the race goes on today. But before the race, let's take a look at our championship situation. And right now, Andy T continues to pull away from Marco Calo, full wins worth ahead. But he barely beat him last time. The big note on that is that we don't see Marco here today. And maybe Michael de Turk instead can try to get himself into the equation. Gernot Friesche and Timo Karjalainen in a very tight fight down there for 4th and 5th. What about the team's championship here?
Well, it's a little bit tighter in the team's championship, with Ligier Gitanes holding a 13-point lead over Cooper's Car Fittipaldi Automotive. They're in a very tight battle with Arrows Racing Team, only 2 points off of them. In Parmalat Racing Team Brabham, well, they're only 10 points back, with Equip Renault Elf holding on to 5th place, only 5 points back. So really and truly, this team standing's really all up for grabs this entire season.
Certainly looks like it. As for today's race, though, if we take a look at what is in store, apologies, it is 28 laps here today. We're in round 8 out of 12 as we get ready to go here. No, excuse me, it is 35 laps that we will be running. And it's an open setup series, and so that means the drivers can basically tweak the cars to their liking. I have to imagine there's going to be a lot of downforce that is plugged into the machines. They don't have a spare car, though. As we mentioned, the barriers are very close, and, well, there's a lot of grass and gravel to stop you, which means the car is probably not going to stop very easily and find the wall. They have a drive-through penalty at 17 and a disqualification at 25. Before we get to the racing proper, make sure and check out the Majors Garage, home of free Baseline Plus setups. Get help from any of the garage coaches 24/7. Sign up now for awesome, affordable monthly subscriptions, telemetry, coaching, and more at majorsgarage.com. Or use our special discount code, MajorsGSRC, for 10% off. We have a link down in the description below that'll take you right to the website so you can apply that. And looking at the times as they begin to trickle in, Andy T, no big surprise, has the provisional pole.
Yes, he does. Yuka Tolanen is done with his laps, and behind him in second, DeTurk, Lino, and Martin Granberg. And I am coming back into the series there. He will be in P5.
So Granberg, after a second place in the Lotus 49s yesterday morning, is going to try and do his best, but it looks like he's only putting a single lap in as he calls it quits after that one. So fifth will be the highest he sees as we now watch Andy T fly through Druids, and this should give you a very good idea of just how violent this car is around here as the scenery just flies past.
Well, violent is the name of the game, Joe. It's just, you have to really have complete and total trust in the car to fling it into the corners there as Andy goes faster there, it looks like, with a 1:11.55. Good time there for him. That'll put him about 0.2 of a second ahead of everybody else. We watch here the first lap for Pablo Suarez. Just how violent, as you said, you've got to really chuck the car into these corners to try to maximize speed.
Interesting to note, both laps for T so far would have given him pole position. Mikko Lino came within about 1/10 of Andy's first lap, but then obviously he pulled that away even farther as Suarez comes around off of Cascades into Island Bend. This is a very fast left-hander and almost no room to the outside to have any sort of issues. The wall is pretty much right there. And now into Shell Oil Bend as we now see Gernot Friesche get his first lap on the board. A 1:12.1 will put him into sixth. That's not bad considering this has not been his strong suit in the last couple seasons.
No, this track has shown up quite a few times, and Pablo always seems to struggle here a little bit. It's really one of those tracks, Joe, that either you love it or you hate it. With these Lotuses, as you said, they're almost too fast for this circuit and the way that it flows around. It's much more of a club circuit nowadays. And so you really have to have a very, very fine touch, be absolutely millimeter perfect with your entries into the corners. And some drivers love that kind of precision that it has to draw out of you, and some drivers, it just doesn't suit their style.
Yeah, I have to double check my information here, and the Peanut Gallery can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the last time F1 had an exhibition race here was the early 60s, I want to say it, but I'll need to check myself on that as we see Friesche come back around for his second go at things. Right now, it does look like he is up on his time. As long as he is clean through Lodge, which it looks like he is, he is going to be able to improve. How much higher? That's the big question. It's a 1:11.9. That's a couple tenths quicker, and that puts him onto the second row.
That's a good start for Gernot, who hasn't exactly seemed like his old self this season. Remember, a couple seasons ago, we had the tire changes that came in, the iRacing changing the new tire model, putting it onto these cars, and it looks like it just hasn't really helped Gernot as much. He doesn't have as good a feel for the car. So good to see him putting in a good qualifying here. Comes Dylan Freckleton through these final couple of corners, bringing it down through Lodge, up and over Deerleap. I think this may be a slight improvement for Dylan, and it is by just a couple of tenths, and that'll net him 10th place.
Just in time before the time ran out, so let's go through our starting order. Andy T is on the pole with Mikko Lino in second place. Yuka Tolanen and his fellow Finn starts from third, and Gernot Friesche in fourth. Then it is Pauli Parton in P5, followed by Michael DeTurk in sixth position. Peter Konesny starts in P7. Timothy Reed, eighth today, followed by Christophe Dubois, ninth, and then Dylan Freckleton rounds out your top 10.
In 11th, it's going to be Martin Granberg, followed by Karthik Pai with Ove Trangrade and Timu Vaskalampi lining up behind them. Benoit Daisy will be 15th, followed by Javier Mosquera with Barry West and Joseph Mudrak in row 9. Paul Williams will be 19th, and Stéphane Leboeuf will be in 20th.
21st goes to Pablo Suarez, Andreas Schuster, P22. Carmen Carpentiero will be in 23rd. Then you've got Kevin Jimenez in 24th and Nathan Finnegan in 25th. Two drivers did not manage to get qualifying times in, Daniel Gallis and Armando Edwards. Gallis probably going to have a harder time as he's got the number 12 on his car, according to his iRating. So a little bit out of position potentially. As you see, we've got pretty nice conditions out on the circuit. A little bit of wind, but not too drastic.
No, and 73 degrees track temperature is a little bit chilly for these Lotus 79s, so take a lap or two to get those tires up to temperature, but it should be okay.
Hopefully it doesn't cause some problems as people expect more grip maybe coming through Island Bend on that first time through before the tires really get up to temps, and the last of them plop themselves on the grid. Means it is time to go racing for 35 laps here in round 8 of the Sunday Grand Prix Series. The engines start to rev as the lights come up, and the green flag is out off the line. Once again, Andy T just cannot get his starts right, and Mikko Leno is going to be able to charge through. Will he also lose second place? Tolinen makes contact with him. They both manage to get away with it. Partanen is going to sneak through from that, and thankfully disaster is averted for Andy T.
Yes, but not so much for Jukka Tolinen, and he's got a little bit of left front wing damage. That's really going to hurt him around this tight and twisting circuit as they now make their way down into Cascades.
Almost had a repeat of VIR for poor Andy T, who got taken out in the first corner there as they come through Shell Oil Bend. So Partanen up onto the podium, and looks like the only real driver with an issue is going to be Peter Konechny, who finds himself in the pits before the lap is completed.
A little bit of a poke out to the outside there. I believe that was Deturk thinking about maybe trying to make a little bit of a move. Excuse me, that was Gernot Friesche trying to just get into the head of Andy T as they dive their way through Knickerbrook. You can see how fast and flowing this circuit really is.
Indeed. So Partanen, the one making up big grounds there on that first lap. Oh, and a problem coming out of Druids as T's going to pounce on that. Leno is to the outside coming into Lodge, but the battle's not quite done. Now he shuts the door in front of him. We hop on board the third place Pauli.
Pauli Partanen hungrily looking now down to the inside of Old Hall. That was more of just a poke, but he's got to watch out behind him. That's Jukka Tolinen, who's going to be very, very aggressive, want to move his way forward. This is Gernot Friesche, who's really in the popcorn position to all of these battles within the top 5.
And he wants that fourth place back, no doubt. And it seems like Partanen is the one under threat just in front of Friesche. Tolinen looking on him. But wow, Andy T did not sit around on that one. As soon as he saw an opening, he was on it.
Yeah, really and truly, I think Andy knows just how difficult it is to really get a pass done around here and did not want to wait around for any opportunity. If it presents itself, you've got to go on a tight and twisting circuit like this.
Down through Knickerbrook, fearsome corner, especially in these cars, with almost nothing to save you to the outside. And there in third place, Partanen may have been quick off the line, but Jukka Tolinen really wants to get back onto the podium positions.
Yeah, he is very much hassling Paulie here, trying to see what he can do. This top about 4 cars starting to break away a little bit from Gernot Friesche, and Andy T starting to stretch his legs out front.
Not good news for those who want to try and challenge him in the championship. He sets the fastest lap as they finish lap 2 now. And we hop on board with Partanen. Loses a little bit of touch with Leno once again. Down through Cascades, and they start to stretch their legs out down to Island Bend.
Yeah, and this is one of the longer runs of straightaway here on the circuit, down into the very, very heavy braking zone of Shell Oils. The Island Bend pretty much flat out in these cars. You can see the camber there. They're able to take some good speed if you stick to the inside there of Shell Oils. Riding on board with Michael Deturk now, who looks like for a second he was starting to put a little bit of pressure to Gernot Friesche back in 5th.
Well, as we watch on the row hoop, heading through Knickerbrook, we pop back up to Partanen once again, trying to close in, but looks like they're beginning to spread out slightly and find themselves some space. Oh, maybe a little mistake there from Mikko. No, he's going to hold it tighty. We head back to Dubois, who is currently running in 8th position. That's Timothy Reed in front of him in the red number 7.
Yeah, Dubois here up to a pretty good start. It looks like he is up 1 position on the day. A lot of people, that is courtesy of, I think, Peter Kuzneski having that problem. Andy T setting the fastest lap of the race, but Dubois starting to separate himself out a little bit from Dylan Freckleton behind.
Don't need to go to it, but Barry West had a slight spin through Lodge. He had to wait for everybody to go by. He gets sent down to 25th and is still rolling, having not hit anything. Pauli Partsinen still about 4 tenths back from Mikko. And they can see T up in the distance, about a second ahead. Very good exit from the Finn. Can the 4 try and challenge? He's going to get a little slipstream here over Hilltop.
It's going to be a little bit of a slipstream, but you've really got to be a lot closer to make that move going down into Knickerbrook. It's not really that much of a heavy braking zone, only about a 3rd or 4th gear corner, but Paulie using the draft very, very well. He's going to get it in over Clay Hill. He is going to start to pressure, and this is one of the best ways to try to get by around here, Joe. Try to see if you can force the driver ahead of you offline a little bit. Here he comes!
Sends his nose in, but can't get the overlap. That actually compromises his exit slightly. And now Tolinen is catching up because of that. If they keep doing that, I wonder if they'll finally get Freesia involved, because you mentioned earlier he was dropping back. Well, now it's almost a full second behind them.
Yeah, and Andy T starting to check out up at the front. He's put down about a marker of 1.3 second gap. Really, really starting to pull away. You can see him there streaking off into the distance.
This is one of our closest fights right now, especially up at the front, coming into Shell Oil Bend. Once more, Mikko just hugging that inside line all the way down at the bottom of the banking. We ride on board with Tolinen. In fact, it is 3 Finns right with one another, all chasing a Brit on home soil.
Yeah, and Andy really starting to show that home field advantage a little bit, just continually putting in good laps. But 1, 2, 3, they come across for that battle for second place. You can see just how quickly they are flinging these cars through these corners. It is an absolute roller coaster around here when you're taking this track at speed.
We shouldn't be too shocked that Andy is strong here. He even mentioned that this is one of his favorites. So it looks like his predictions coming true, that he should be at ease here. A little bit of a weave coming over Deerleap from Mikko. And back into Old Hall. Once again, another fastest lap from Andy T, as he is now 1.5 seconds ahead.
Yeah, just putting down the benchmarker after the benchmarker here. We jump back to Ove Trangere, the battle for 10th place right now. He's only got about 4 tenths of a second up ahead to Dylan Freckleton. He's going to want to try to close that in here a little bit more. Ove, a driver that traditionally runs a little bit more trimmed out, but if you look on the left front there, he's got a little bit of damage. That wing is turned up, so he has had some contact with a curb or another car over the course of the race, and that's given him some problems.
Let's see if this slipstream is going to help him out here as they go over Hilltop towards Knickerbrook. Doesn't seem like he's closing as quickly as we saw from Partonen that one time a few laps ago. And maybe it is a little bit of that wing just hurting that top speed for him here today. There's Partonen on your screen now, still within 3 tenths of a second. I know we keep coming to this. I've been looking through the rest of the field. There really isn't too many other great battles.
No, this is certainly one of the closer ones. Little bit opposite lock there for Paulie coming out of Lodge Corner and over Deerleaf. Although it has to be said there, it looks like Mikko's starting to streak away just a little bit. He's got the gap. It's tickling about a half a second here. He's really starting to put in some good times, and that's probably partially a result of the fact that he is dropping Andy T. Yes, the draft is important, but you want to be able to try to get as much clean air on the front of these wings through the corners as possible.
Despite this track not providing many places to overtake, it has seen some big climbers in just the first 7 laps. Pablo Suarez is up by 6 positions, and he's done one better by Nathan Finnegan, who has improved by 7 spots, and that is a big problem. And around we go. Finnegan makes a little bit of contact with Suarez, so there's both of our hard chargers collected in one incident.
Yeah, and it looks like he just brought too much speed down into the corner. Absolutely lost it. This is riding on board with Nathan Finnegan, who's going to see this, I believe. Yeah, he just brought too much speed into the corner, and pop, that just went around there for Pablo.
And Pablo must have had some kind of problem. Okay, now he's rolling. I was going to say, if we come back live, he was actually still sitting still at the bottom of the banking through Shell Oil, and now he's finally got the car rolling. So the 24 sits in 25th with a severe amount of damage. So I believe, yep, this is Ove Trangrade that we have returned to here. Still on the gearbox of Freckleton by a couple tenths. They're catching up to Dubois as well.
Yeah, they're starting to close that gap down. It's now only about 3-4 tenths of a second as they
Something's happened to Miko. Sorry, the 10 has lost multiple positions and has fallen down to 6. I'm not sure what caused this, but this happened in Shell Oil Bend.
I wonder if this is a similar situation that we saw with Pablo Suarez. Yeah, it just carries too much speed into the corner. He was able to catch it, deposits him onto the outside. He's able to keep the car rolling, not make any contact with the outside wall, but losing multiple positions as a result.
That's twice in quick succession that Shell Oil Bend has caught drivers out. Not sure what's going on. Maybe someone's put some dirt down there and has caused some lack of grip. But regardless, this now means that Partanen's in second, Tolanen is promoted to third, and Frisha is back to where he began in fourth.
Right, so that's really calmed things down. And Paulie Partanen, a big mover there to be able to get his way up into second now. Up 3 positions on the day, but he's still got a lot of work to do. 3 seconds up the road to Andy T. Andy's already been able to grow that gap out.
We mentioned at the start of the event that Konechny had to take a tow to the pits. Well, he has since retired, and I think Pablo Suarez might be our latest, as he had another incident in Shell Oil Bend and took a tow. To keep you abreast on whether or not he calls it a day early. But yeah, Partanen has been one of our quick drivers this season, but has yet to win a race here in 2022. He's been close, and in fact, I believe he's gotten, I'd have to check, but I know it's a number of top 5s, maybe even podiums in a row here.
Yeah, he's been on a pretty hot tear, and just looking up ahead of him, he may have a pretty easy job to be able to get going, because that's Michael de Turk. And unless my eyes deceive me, Joe, there's some rear wing damage to the back of Michael de Turk's car. Now, that's certainly going to hurt him in a straight line. Yeah, there is. That rear wing is deformed, so that's going to hurt him in a straight line, and that's going to hurt him off corner exit as he tries to put the power down through these massive rear tires.
That is not good at all. I double-checked the stats. Partanen had 4 third places in a row. I don't know how we overlooked that stat, but he was massively consistent there for a good chunk of the season. Whoa, and somebody in the background just flew across the track. I'm trying to find who that is. That is Ove Trangrade, actually. That was in Cascades.
Yes, it was. Let's go back and check out the replay here. Oh, he got a little bit offline there going through Old Hall. You can see it there. And then bringing the car into Cascades, does he just lose it? Little bit too much speed brought through the corner. And that's one of those sort of slow and lazy spins that we often see out of these Lotus 79s. Car just wants to break away a little bit, and it will not stop. It's so frustrating because you can feel it letting go, and there's almost nothing you can do.
Yeah, the onboard really showed that. He was counter steering almost as soon as he went into the corner and kept trying to catch it, but it just was not there. So Timothy Reed on board here in 7th place, trying to see if he can demote Miko yet one more position, but Miko working on the damaged Michael de Turk, who despite some good results lately seems to be struggling a little bit here today. The American goes a little wide coming off of Old Hall, and Lino is going to try and make him susceptible into Cascades, but nothing doing.
Good defense there from Michael de Turk, just not flinching. He didn't back off of his line. He knew he had the corner if he wanted it. So very heads up. He's going to be susceptible again here, though, going down into Shell Oils. Once again, Michael not flinching. This is a really good defense from him.
Doing what he needs to do, just try and hold his line, and now he has to cover off the inside. Yeah, I think that rear wing is hurting him big time. He has nothing in comparison, and as they go side by side into Knickerbrook, the braver man is Mikko Lino.
Wow, very heads up braking there from Mikko Lino. I thought for sure Michael was going to be able to fight back on him there, but now he's got to watch out behind us. Timothy Reed is going to be the next in line to maybe have a little bit of a look here.
Boy, that was gutsy stuff from the Finn to try and stick that out from the outside of that corner. And as we watch from Reed up on through Deerleap and along the main straight, just not long enough coming into Old Hall. A mistake in front of them. Could the spot go right back to the Turk? little bit of an off from Nico, but no, nothing doing.
Not going to be able to get it. It looked like the Turk had a better line through the corner, but unfortunately that rear wing just scuppering him again. Here comes Timothy Reed thinking about it going down into Cascades, but he's forced to back out, and that's going to cost him a chance to attack going down into Shell Oils.
Maybe a good exit coming off the hairpin. No, it is not there. He can't find the grip. So yeah, a bit of a wasted opportunity, unfortunately, for the 7.
Yeah, you've got to be a little bit more patient at a track like this. Really try to get the run. Focus on backing up Shell Oils, for example, to be able to get a good run here into Knickerbrook. Obviously, not the heaviest of braking zones is Knickerbrook, but I've seen many a gutsy pass down to the inside.
This is all the battle for 5th that we are watching on screen between these 3. And I think it's bringing Dubois slightly back into the 4. So we'll see if the 17 can find himself a part of the equation soon. Back to Daisy here in the number 19. And he is chasing Vascalavi, Karthik Pai just behind them as well.
Yeah, Karthik is definitely waiting here to see if there's a mistake up in front of him. And there you see a good move from Karthik Pai. He's going to try it around the outside. That may have been contact. Oh!
It was, and unfortunately, it all comes to blows, and both Daisy and Pai go off course. Yeah, a little bit of a mistake through Old Hall, and then Denton's, which is not really a corner in just about every car. There's that tiny little bit of contact, and I think that set off Benoit, and poor Karthik just couldn't avoid the spinning Lotus 79 in front of him. They both went off into the grass. So Granberg and Mosquera took positions from that as we now head back to Jukka Tolvanen in 3rd. He's still within range of Pauli Parton, but it's about half a second between them. They have both lost touch with Andy T by the tune of 4.3 seconds now.
That is really an impressive run there from Andy T. This is such a short lap, and to be able to get that kind of gap over the course of 14 laps, it's nothing short of remarkable. But jumping back here, this is Michael de Turk trying to hold on as much as possible. Timothy Reed, again, trying to get around him. Reed just looking like he is waiting for the opportunity to present itself.
And you mentioned earlier that de Turk's doing a good job defending. I have to agree, he's not been faultless out there. He has had a few little oopsies that have opened the door, but he's covered them well. He's recovered from some of them, and another big snap coming off of the hairpin from Timothy Reed will prevent him from attacking.
Yeah, so Reed struggling a little bit here. Doesn't look like he has any damage to the car. There could be a little bit of under-trade damages. Here's Ove Trangarade. Remember, Ove had that off earlier. He's on a bit of a recovery drive right now.
And up against who else? Nathan Finnegan, who still has not ended his charge. 25th to 13th. He's going to hold the inside, go defensive on Trangarade, but Trangarade is deeper into the corner. A little too deep? No, he keeps it from going off course with a big slide.
That was impressive stuff there. Let's check out this replay.
And almost looked like Nathan maybe gave it up a little bit here because he braked early, and maybe Ove did not expect it sideways down through Knickerbrook. Is impressive to say the least, and that will gift him 13th place.
So he will be happy with that, but still very much down on the day is Ove Trangarade. Actually, he's right back to where he started here at this point, so he was up moving through the field, so he's clearly got some more pace. Jumping back to that battle, we ride on board with Timothy Reed, still trying to close in on the turf.
Indeed, and things have certainly been interesting farther back in the pack. I just saw Joseph Mudrack make a pass through Island Bend on Carmine in the 22, and that is just after they got interrupted by Karthik Pai streaming through the field as well. They see this is still a very tight fight.
Very tight fight there. You can see trying to see if there's a little bit of an advantage to be had going through Knickerbrook. I don't think there's going to be.
And behind him, sorry, that was Carmine. We didn't see it on camera, but the 22 had to catch it. He's going to lose positions, but at least the car is still whole.
Yeah, let's ride on board with Carmine here as we go around. Waiting down heavy into the braking zone. Whoa, that car just wanted to break away. How did he hold on to that thing?
I think he touched the grass on the entry is what caused that, but man, it was instant, just instant. And great job catching it, but he's down to 19th after that and maybe needs a change of race suit.
Yeah, I think just a little bit of one. That was a very, very tough one. Oh, as we've got Paulie Partonen, whose day is not going well at all, continuing to fall down the order.
Well, he's out. He has had to take a tow, touch the grass once again, and unfortunately that sent him right into the barrier. It was enough damage. You could see the car crabbing as he takes off. He knows what that means, and he immediately sends it to pit lane. That is disappointing for a man who has taken multiple podiums this season.
Indeed, he will be very, very disappointed with that. And sometimes when you just have one of those incidents like that early on, it can just get into your head a little bit more and you will be more prone to it. But I've got to say, Michael DeTurk here with that wing damage, this is one of the best defenses I have seen put up in a very long time. He continues to hold on to that fifth place position from Timothy Reed.
I have to mention that because we are internet denizens, that my wife continues to giggle anytime I mention cars touching grass now. So I cannot get that out of my head every time I say it as we watch now the battle between Timothy Reed and Michael DeTurk trying to settle fifth place.
Trying to settle it out. DeTurk just continuing to resolutely run his line here. Reed just not looking like he has the speed. I wonder if there's a little bit of a setup change. If we talked about trimming the car up a little bit, putting a lot of downforce into the machine. I wonder if Michael DeTurk maybe took the opposite route, maybe trimmed out just a little bit, as it looks like he's got some more top speed on the straightaways, and that is just enough to hold Reed behind him.
It's certainly been helping if that's the case. And Reed may be getting a little bit frustrated as things continue on. Granberg maybe not looking at a podium here today compared to what he saw yesterday, but maybe a top 10. He wants that top 10, and he's trying to send it to the inside of Mosquera, but Javier says no, not quite yet.
No, not quite yet at all. He's going to be able to hold it out there a little bit more. Mosquera just doing a heads-up play, not moving away from his line, not letting Granberg try to do anything. Jumping back to that battle with Reed. Ooh, a little bit wide run through the corner there for DeTurk.
Is that going to be enough to open the door? That's the question. Reed finally seems to have gotten the throttle down smoothly out of there, and he's gaining. But once again, covering the inside, Michael DeTurk. Oh, he comes back, he opens the door, and then he shuts it.
The door was shut there beautifully by Michael DeTurk. A really good defense. But I think Timothy Reed is starting to get a little bit flustered here. He is looking like he wants that position at all costs. And that either means he is going to send a big move here coming up soon, or this could end in tears.
And he's got to watch out, because even if it doesn't end in tears, if he has an off, he is not far ahead of Dubois, who just had a little lockup himself coming into Lodge. So that separated them slightly. And once again, a lot of curb on the inside there for Timothy Reed. That sends him back slightly compared to what he was before. Down through Cascades, trying to late apex that long left-hander. It's just not there. Reed's got to do something special. He's got to get tricky here, it looks like.
Yeah, he's really got to surprise Michael DeTurk, I think, is the way to do it. The traditional overtaking zones going down into Shell Oils, going down into Knickerbrook, it just looks like Michael's a little bit too cagey for him. He's got to do something. Ooh, maybe he's got it here. He's going to flick to the outside of Cascades.
He's got a nose ahead this time, but he's going to have to be extremely brave, and he is. He is ahead now. Timothy Reed finally getting into fifth place after multiple laps of trying.
Really heads up there, just absolutely chucking it into Knickerbrook. A wonderful job for Timothy Reed.
And bad news for Andy T, that's not too terribly bad, is that he's starting to catch traffic. He just lapped Stefan Bory, and he's got a ways to go before he gets to Paul Williams up next. Oh, and DeTurk's had a problem. DeTurk is off, out of Lodge. So it all came apart at once. He lost the position, and then he lost control.
Yeah, coming down into Lodge here, you can see it just tries to bring the car up and around, touches that grass on the outside, and that's enough to send him in, further damaging that rear wing. Looks like he's able to continue going on here, but definitely that car is not going to be in pristine condition. That rear wing, all kinds of crumpled.
Don't need to go to it. We had a spin from Daniel Gallus. He's going to fall down to 23rd. Did not hit anything. Back to Daisy. And the 15th place number 19 car is right behind Mudrack and Karthik Pai. Remember, Pai slightly out of position, although I think he was about back to where he began his race, or at least qualified. And that was a big slip up out of Mudrack.
Yeah, big time. It almost looks like he caught the inside curbing. Jumping on the radio, apologizing there, knowing he made a little bit of a mistake. But I think Benoit here is going to be wanting to see if he can get a good attack move going in. Looks like he too had to check up a little bit, so he's got to sort of reconfigure how he wants to get this move done.
And that put them both well far away from Karthik up ahead. So we now hop onto the helmet cam of the Frenchman. Still trying to see if he can catch up to the American down into Lodge corner. Nothing doing there. Just look at how those arms have to saw at the wheel to catch it almost every corner.
Yeah, really has to just fight it all the way through the corner. It's those sort of micro corrections that I talk about sometimes that you've got to be doing in this car to be able to maximize speed. You want to keep this thing pointed as straight as possible, not try to let those rear tires spin, but you've just got to kind of put in some fine-tune adjustments over the course of the run.
A little bit of dust kicked up through Island Bend, and still Mudrack is able to keep him behind, and this time wheel spin from Benoit puts him farther back by about half a second. And another fastest lap for Andy T as well, this time down to a 1:12.4, 6 seconds ahead of Tolvanen. Kind of interesting path that Tolvanen has taken. He's into second place. He started in third, but just been kind of effectively hovering around these spots for the whole race.
Yeah, he's just being very patient, and that's really kind of one of the things you have to do around Oulton Park in these cars. You've got to just back everything up, not get too over-eager, and let the race come to you.
And that's exactly what it's done, as he's got himself into second place. Back to Daisy here in the number 19. He caught up to Mudrack, and they seem to have caught up to Pai somewhat, so looks like they got a little bit of speed over the 11. I was not expecting that. I figured that Karthik would start to pull away a little bit.
As would I, but clearly he has still got some speed left into this car, so Mudrack able to close him down just a little bit more. Gap holding at about 0.8 of a second right now, so not anything that Karthik Pai needs to be worried about wholesale, but he'll know that Mudrack is pretty close behind him.
And the one car ahead of Pai is Finnegan, still our hard charger, I believe. They're 25th to 12th currently for him, so 13 positions up from his qualifying. We've got another driver in pit lane. I think that's Carpentiero. And I think that's due to some damage. I'm not sure what caused that. We'll try and investigate later. In the meantime, Karthik Pai, the Texan, comes over Deer Leap, holds on to 13th, and at least holds Mudrack at arm's length.
Yeah, he's going to be able to hold him off here for the moment, but Mudrack is closing that gap down. It's now hovering at about 0.7 of a second. The Ohioan here continuing to close in, continuing to try to gain in behind as much as possible. He's now got it under 0.7 of a second, so Mudrack running some very good laps.
We were watching Gernot Friesche for a bit, who's been trying to chase down the guys in front of him, but he's been lapping cars, so that's been holding him up. Coming up and over Hilltop, and a lot of bumps over the course of this track. Coming down into the braking for Knickerbrook, nose cam showing you just how much speed is taken through there. Mudrack definitely is on it here today, and that is the car of Karthik Pai just in front of him. He's been pulling away from Daisy behind. So that's good news for the 14. That gap up to about 1.7 seconds. So he's a lot more clear to try and attack without having to worry about what's happening in the mirrors.
Exactly, and that is a huge mental boon for a driver to be able to just know that you can go into full attack mode. So we jump back here because part of this is Benoit Daisy's having Javier Mascara, who we ride on board with right now. He is all over the back of him right now. He's got that gap down to under about 0.5 of a second. So certainly starting to close in a little bit more. The Iberian driver looking like he may be a little bit of a problem for Benoit Daisy.
Certainly is, and unfortunately for them, trying to figure out how close they are to Andy T catching them. Ooh, and did Deturk just get passed by Granberg? I think he did. So Granberg now up into 9th, which is probably still going to be a bit of a disappointing day from the number 3. Usually we see him fighting amongst the top 5 in this series.
Yeah, well, as I've said, Joe, Oulton Park, it's kind of one of those tracks that's either a circle of like, oh yeah, this is going to be great, I love this thing, or it is an X on the track that you just go, oh man, this is going to be a rough day. And this may be a little bit of a ladder here for Martin Granberg. It is a track that doesn't suit everybody, and you sometimes just have to make do with what you got. I will also say it looks like he's got a little bit of left front wing damage.
So does Freckleton here as we look at him. Actually, both sides of the wing do not look like they are up to spec. This is in 7th, though, so he's been managing it pretty decently. In fact, that is Dubois up in front of him that he is trying to chase down, coming through Knickerbrook. Both the cars right up to the edge. I've been seeing so much of the dust kicked up coming off the exit of Knickerbrook, and I'm amazed we haven't seen more spins.
And again, they're going through Druids. You saw a big drag of all of that from Dubois up ahead of him. So Christoph, I think, starting to feel a little bit of the pressure here, starting to feel that attack from Dylan Freckleton, and he's pushing.
That's what he needs to do. Just try and see if he can elicit mistakes out of his rival. Get an opening. He's got to be closer than that, though, unless it is a big mistake. So we come back once again to Karthik Pai, who is caught up to Finnegan. So the run that Nathan has had might find itself starting to go a little bit backwards, and he'll have multiple cars with it. Ooh, a little bit of an off back there with Mudrack. Will that give Benoit a chance to attack? No. Still can't do anything down into Cascades.
Can't do anything there, but maybe we can see something getting set up down into Shell Oils. Daisy all over the back here, trying to find something, anything to see if there's the move. Looks like the outright speed's going to be able to do it a little bit off the apex there, though, for Mudrack, and that's going to compromise his speed. But diamonding off the corner just a little bit, looks like it does actually help his exit speed, so he's going to be able to pull away a little bit here down the straight.
Daisy doing fantastic to keep the pressure on at the very least. Neither of them making an error up through Knickerbrook as they climb up the hill now into Druids. Very scary double left-hander and a giant slide from Benoit. In fact, that sends him off the course. He might lose his spot to Mascara, who approaches quickly. No, he collects it in time.
Very lucky he didn't lose that position, and he just lost the chance to overtake there up ahead. So Daisy now, instead of going and looking ahead, he's also got to be looking behind as Mascara bringing that gap down. I think Benoit's in a little bit of his head here. Mascara bringing that gap down under 4/5 of a second.
So from attack to defense now for the Frenchman. Mascara within 0.5 of a second and 9 laps to go. There certainly are chances there if he can hold on to the tail of this number 19. Not missing anything up at the front. It's all spread apart up there in the multiple battles. Karthik Pai just ahead of them is still working on Nathan Finnegan for that 12th position, which is where Karthik Pai began this race. So at least if he could break even, that would be something that he can't complain about, if not want to write home about.
Exactly, working his way through here. Karthik Pai continuing to just try to see if he can get anything here on Finnegan, but Finnegan putting up a good defense, able to close up a little bit under braking as they work their way down in through Lodge and over Deer Leap here, trying to close in. He's got that gap under 0.3 of a second now.
It's been close, but he needs to start making some attacks, making some inroads here to see if he can shake down the 25. Coming up through Cascades, he's there, but it doesn't seem like he is close enough into Shell Oil. We could try and mug him. Doubt we'll see that. Maybe try and square off the corner. And he is looking very, very good on the brakes, I must say.
Yes, he is, and a big wiggle there out of Nathan Finnegan coming off of the corner. That's going to set up Karthik Pai for the attack. He's going to be down to the inside. Here they go.
And that just shows you how tight this track is. It is not very wide at all. Coming down into Knickerbrook, the inside will give the advantage to Pai. He takes a spot. It's not over for Finnegan. Here comes Mudrack looking around the outside of Clay Hill through Water Tower now, and it looks like he might have it. Yes, Mudrack now up to 13th. 2 spots in just a couple corners for Finnegan.
Very, very heads-up play for Mudrack there to be able to move his way up and by. That was very, very good. And now Finnegan's got to worry about Benoit Daisy, who's joined in on the fun.
Benoit would like to also move himself a little bit to the positive as he's in 15th, exactly where he began. And it's just starting to fall apart, it seems, for the 25, as momentum has gone away from him. He lost 2 spots, maybe a third, depends on if he can recover right here. Doesn't look like we'll see anything out of Daisy down into Shell Oil, but this is where we saw it all kick off, right here. And once again, a mistake from Finnegan going wide. They almost bang wheels.
Almost bang wheels, and that's going to set up a perfect drag race here as they make their way through Britons and over Hilltop. Ooh, Daisy has to back out of it there a little bit. I think he may not have the straight line speed.
Just manages to keep ahead. A little kick up of the dust out of Knickerbrook from Finnegan. And seems to, despite being pretty calm and pretty collected through much of the race, have been shaken up quite a bit. Nathan making errors twice in the same corner here late in the race.
Indeed, doing a very, very rough job of this. That's very easy to do. Oh, that's the 17 around.
That's Dubois. What happened here? He's going to lose a couple positions. This is out of Cascades. Looked okay on the way in, a little wide. Oh, and just ran out of track. Thankfully does not hit anything, but has to try and find his way forward. Eventually gets it into gear and sees all the way down to 10th because of that one error.
Oh my goodness, and that is just how quickly things can go away for you here at this tricky track. Daisy now still trying to get that position over Finnegan as Gernot Frisia sets the fastest lap of the race here with 5 to go.
The plot thickens, and we've seen in the past that Frisia can be quite fast at the end of races. He usually likes his setup to be good on light fuel, so the DH driver seems to have returned to that form. And that means that he has gained slightly on Tolan in second place. However, it's another 7/10 to go. He's going to have to really keep making those really good runs. Oh, and Benoit Daisy's had a problem. He is in the wall, and this is with, I think, a lapped car. Yes, Daniel Gallus. Let's see. I don't think Gallus did anything wrong there. Oh.
I don't think he did either, Joe. That just looked like a very, very unfortunate coming together.
Here's from Daniel's view. He knows he's there. He's trying to stay out of the way. Lets one go. Lets the other go. Oh, and he was just completely offline himself, so that was his own doing. And then Benoit being offline to the inside was not expecting the difference in speed. And now Nathan Finnegan as well sees his great race unraveling before his eyes. He has spun off in Shell Oil Bend. Looks like he's going to be able to return to the course here.
Yeah, just brought too much speed there into the corner, and that sent him out wide. Nowhere to go for him after that happens. You get out into the grass around here, and there is no coming back.
It's down to 16th for Nathan. In the meantime, Pi still in 12th spot, fending off Joseph Mudrack behind him. A number of drivers should have gotten positions from that. Double checking to see Bascalampi up to 7th, Grandberg up to 8th, Traingrade up to 9th because of that. So a few drivers definitely enjoying the attrition playing to their favor. Only 4 more laps to go. And we've lost, let's see, it looks like 5 of them. Knesny, Suarez, Partonen, Carpentiero, and Daisy. Mudrack chasing Karthik around Shell Oil Bend. Better exit there for the 11 car.
Better exit there for him, able to pull a little bit of a gap away. Starts to close in a little bit more here, but we'll have to see how this plays out. Only 3 laps to go.
Indeed, and Finnegan had another off in the exact same space into Shell Oil Bend. So I'm not sure if he's going to be able to continue because he's been sitting stationary now there for some time. That car just almost looked like it understeered off.
Yeah, I wonder if he's maybe got some under tray damage or something like that from being in the battles there. So the car just didn't look like it wanted to turn at all.
And he had to take a tow, so he might be our latest driver that retires here today. Back on board with Andy T. 2 to go this time as he crosses the line. 8 seconds over Jukka Tolvanen. He's been dealing with the traffic well up to here. That's Barry West in front of him. West is a very experienced veteran in this series, so he knows how to handle the lapping cars.
Does indeed. He'll know to just kind of get out of the way here when he can. Not close enough to be able to really need to do it here at this point. My guess is Barry will probably just try to pull off to the side here out of Shell Oils. Going to take a little bit of a wider apex into the corner. Andy not necessarily looking like he's in a hurry to get on by.
Andy T has certainly responded, and yeah, a little bit of a lift just to help him by. There you go. So West allows Andy through. Andy T has basically taken his 3-race black mark on this season and said, you know what, I'm not going to let that affect me. Came back to win COTA under immense pressure from his teammate. Came back to his home circuit and just is dominating now without anybody looking like they can touch him. And he's about to take the white flag to make it win at number 5 if he can.
Yeah, absolutely a dominant season from Andy T here on this. You know, he had a couple of rough runs out there, a couple of not exactly what we would expect to be the best ways around, but he is, when he has been on it, he has been on it.
This might put him well out of reach. He'll take some real issues, which as we saw from Le Mans, Brands Hatch, and VIR, it's not impossible. You just can't tell in racing. Sometimes things happen that are out of your control. Sometimes you just cannot predict it. And sometimes you just plain make mistakes. So Andy T is not invulnerable, and we know that. We've seen them from him in the past. But he is positioning himself well to, I believe, take his first championship. I'll need to check to see if this would be the case if this continues on. Because I'm pretty certain we have not seen him take the crown yet in any of the seasons prior. There have been so many that have gone to Gernot Frische, but lately Andy T has been the man, and as he comes out of Lodge Corner, it is going to be victory here today for the number 2.
A fantastic drive, an 8-second gap, and the fastest lap of the race just for good measure. Andy with a little bit of a happy wiggle there to just show how pleased he is.
Oh, I'm sure he is absolutely beside himself to win at a track like this. Frische, by the way, pat on the back, going from 4th up to 3rd, finishing on the podium after he got slotted down earlier on. And we've still got a battle here for 7th place. Teemu Vaskalampi comes over from the 49s as well to see what he can do here in the 79s. And right now, Granberg is putting immense pressure on him out of the final corner and across the line. Nicely done to capture that 7th place. We're only going to see 15 drivers finish on the lead lap out of 27 starters.
Yeah, it really just shows you the pace from Andy T and just how tricky this track truly is, how many drivers it caught out over the course of the day.
And that says the last of them come across the line. Let's head to a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so make sure and stick around. Got the inside. Does Leskola send it deep? Yes, he does. He knows he's going to have to force Rolla a little bit wide, but he leaves him space. Rolla gets the inside, coming down to the Sachs curb, but he's timid on the brakes, and almost a Vettel situation there with Yuko Leskola taking it deep, but somehow he holds on, and they carry on this side-by-side battle. Now into the south curve and around, still on the inside. Yuko Leskola will not give way.
Here they come onto the front straightaway towards Nordkurv. Someone's going to have to give here. You can't go through this thing too wide, and Yuko finally gives up the ghost and lets Billy go through, but Billy takes it a little bit too deep. Yusko's got another opportunity towards the entrance of the Parabolica.
This battle will not quit. Down to the Parabolica entry. He's got the inside one more time. Will the throttle pedal make the difference here coming off the corner? It does seem to for Billy Rolla. He briefly has a nose ahead, but now momentum goes back to Yuko Leskola. It's the long way around the Parabolica, but it'll be the inside coming down into the Spitzkara. This has been an incredible battle. They've now practically gone a full lap side by side here. Down into the corner and smoking the tires once again. Leskola somehow manages to make that shallow line work. Yep, this is down into turn 2. Really wants to cut into that apex, but there is that gray and blue car there. It carries on as it swings back through turn 3. Muirhead gets a little bit of an edge. Excuse me, Boucher does. But now, as they come to the left-hander, this is not the place he wants to be. He lifts a little bit early. He still carries the speed through, goes a little wide. Is that one going to count, or is he going to be given a slowdown? It counts. And Boucher is going to move into 10th.
We've got a little bit of a pass going on here. Mies trying to make the move down to the inside here as they go into Cunningham. Side by side with Felipe Loyola. And that is going to be Mies with the nose ahead. Tries to give a little bit of an elbows out move, but now the track is going to favor back to Felipe Loyola. Under heavy braking. Who's it going to be?
We got a battle farther up ahead, and this is Karthik Pai side by side Lino Frisha. Lino's going to be able to get ahead of him. He's going to go for another one. He's not just taking one, but he's too hot in the corner, and that goes into the side of the Texan. And in the midst of it all, how about Ove Trangray getting 3 spots in a single corner?
Oh, but handling it well, did exactly the right thing, came off the throttle, just kept the wheel as straight as he could, eased the car back up on as he comes past the lap traffic here. Scarali, is that Scarali who went off up there? Is he going to get up? It looks like he's going to catch Scarali. Scarali's getting caught up with this lap traffic as Chiquita tries to get around him going through. Oh, nice pass. Mr. Sneaky pulls it off again.
This is what he's been waiting for. Now he definitely has enough speed, but oh, look, he's not even as close as he is. He's not able to use that toe to try and attack, so he's going to go around the outside, trying to break deeper, cutting back underneath, but that's going to give the inside down into the chicane to Tom Layton. Can he do it here this time? No, breaks a little bit earlier. Shallow line, another chance to maybe pull the over-under, but it's not there as he parks it on the apex. Welcome back to Oulton Park. We didn't get to cover what happened to Peter Konieczny here off the start. A little bit of contact, and that's all it took to damage his suspension. Unfortunately, that did check up a number of drivers, but the good news is it did not cause further incidents, as eventually Peter just pulled it off the circuit and let it glide to a halt. So sad news for Peter off of what could have been a pretty good race for him today, I'm sure, but Andy T has no concern with that. He started on pole, he finished in the lead, and basically dominated today. A 9-second gap to Jukka Tolinen, who cruised his way to a second place, along with Gernot Frisha, who neither of them didn't seem to panic at all, and rounded out the podium. Mikko Lino, unfortunately, fell back to 4th, as he had issues during the race. Timothy Reed aggressive but fair drive there from the number 5, from the number 7 rather, into 5th, as Dylan Freckleton finished in 6th position. Timo Vascalampi, a P7 out of 14th, starting this race. Martin Grandberg in 8th, and Ove Trangerade 9th. Christophe Dubois slipped back 1 spot to round out your top 10.
In 11th, it was Michael de Turk, followed by Karthik Pai. That was a battle that was raging for most of the race, followed by Joseph Mudrak and Javier Mosquera. Andreas Schuster was the last driver to finish on the lead lap, with Barry West and Kevin Jimenez down in 16th and 17th, 1 lap down. Armando Edwards behind them with Stephanie Lebois in 19th, and Paul Williams rounds out your top 20.
After that, Daniel Gallus to the end in 21st, 2 laps down. Nathan Finnegan had to retire late in the race, and everyone behind him did not see the checkered flag today. But Andy T collected another checkered flag, and on home territory this time for him, making it win number 5 on the season. Andy, with this being here at Oulton Park, does this one feel a little bit special?
Oulton Park is so good, man. It's just a pure feeling of joy to drive around this track. I've enjoyed the whole week. Just fantastic place, and it's perfect in these cars.
Based on some of the chatter we've seen from other drivers, they didn't enjoy it quite as much. What about it do you feel like jives with you a little better, do you think, than some? Because it does seem to be a divisive circuit.
The elevation changes, for one thing, you really have to set the car up to deal with those. The fact that there are maybe 3 corners, possibly 4 corners, that are just totally on edge if you want to be fast. I just thrive on it, man. You know, one mistake is death, as we saw for some people today. It's just so much fun throwing the car through Knickerbrook. Like, it's my favorite corner on the service. I just smile every time.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, because it certainly seemed like a happy day out there. This puts you even farther out of reach of Marco without him being here. Of course, the drop weeks will change that somewhat, but how confident do you feel now after 5 victories in 8 rounds? That's a pretty good strike rate.
Yeah, man, I'm one with the car at the moment. Absolutely loving it. I've had a bit of bad luck. I would have liked to have won more races, but you know, you literally can't win them all. And you make one mistake, and there's so many fast boys in these cars. Like you just can't make a mistake. If I'd had a little off track early, like I would have easily lost positions and really struggled to get by. So yeah, kudos to everyone.
I love the determination for that perfection. Again, congratulations. Anybody you want to give a shout out to before you go?
Yuka for trying raccoon removal service in turn 1. Yeah, he failed, but nice try, buddy. It would be nice to welcome more people into our Discord. We're giving tutorials, telemetry, everything, help you get fast, so take advantage of it. Be good to get you in the guest room. Hoops wouldn't be winning without the support from you. You're literally the worst. Family Lotus boys, you guys. Kisses. Mwah. Bye.
That was Andy T. And yeah, we saw that moment there at the front with Tolan, and that could have been bad. And speaking of him, DJ Clark has caught up with the Finn.
I have indeed, Yuka, a 2nd place here today, able to move your way up 1 position, obviously over Michelino right at the start, but talk me through the race.
Yeah, well, start was tight. I'm sorry, Andy, I wasn't able to commit that raccoon removal, but I'm honestly sorry. I saw that I got a better start, and I was maybe a bit ahead going into the first corner, so I decided to fully send it. But Andy was still on the outside, and then it got pretty tight. But we were lucky today. No one died, so yeah. And then I was just hanging behind Pauli, and as then both Mikko and Pauli had those accidents or went out, then I had a bit of struggling to find the rhythm on my own, but yeah, and then in the end, Gernot was catching, and my heartbeat was rising a bit, but yeah, it was pretty good race. Also, I feel bad for Pauli and Mikko. I would have liked to see my fellow Finns there on the top spots, but yeah. Anyway, I will take this.
Well, we were just talking to Andy about how much he loves this track, and obviously it's a little bit of a different track than what you normally see. How do you fall in the category of it? Do you love it or you hate it?
It's nice track to hot lap, but it's tricky. I think this is the first time I finish the broadcast race without crashing or going wide or anything. So it's so easy to put your rear wheel to crash and spin out and break. And so, yeah, I did that also in the pre-broadcast race, and I was pretty frustrated after that, but managed to keep it on the road this time, luckily. So, yeah, it's funny but challenging, and it's really hard to overtake. So qualifying and start are really important here.
Well, speaking of challenging and hard to overtake, we head to the Nürburgring next. How do you think that's going to shake out?
I love Nürburgring. It's a shame that I won't have too much time to practice next week, so I will be joining with low number of laps practiced probably, but anyway, I will enjoy it anyway.
Well, we'll enjoy it from the booth with you. Anybody you'd like to thank?
You, of course, CTC guys, Michael, Pauli, the usual guys. Thanks.
Well, thank you. That was Jukka Tolvanen, your second place finisher here today. And now, Joe, I believe you've caught up with Kevin Jimenez.
Indeed, Kevin, up 7 spots from the start, and I'm sure some of that was, of course, attrition-based, but even still, a few passes along the way, I'm sure, helped. How did you feel about today's event?
Well, very, very tense, very scared, because it was my first ever race with this car. And I don't know, it was so impressive. It was a very late call from me, because I saw the tweet of we have a race joined on the stream. I was like, wait, maybe I joined and I can do something. And when I saw the level of these people, it's so amazing. When I saw they were so close on the qualifying, and I did my best lap, and I was in the last position. It was very scary on the start. I took it very careful, and surprisingly, I made it to the end. I wasn't expecting even make it into turn 1, but with that few practice, I had 30 minutes of practice since I saw the tweet, and I had a couple of interesting fights in the race. So I had a ton of fun in this race. It was very, very enjoyable.
Well, I'm glad you had fun, and I'm glad you did as well as you did for your first time racing this car. You kind of blindly stepped into a bit of a clubhouse, but I can tell you it's a welcoming one. Do you think you'll stick around?
Well, some years ago, I did exactly the same with another series of you guys with batteries not included, with the Williams F1 car. And I did exactly the same. I joined in the last moment in Sebring with Williams, and it went surprisingly well. So I think it will happen the same. I joined in the last moment, and I enjoyed a lot. And for sure, I enjoyed it so much that you will see me a lot here, for sure.
Oh, well, we love to hear that, because the more the merrier in this little group of Lotus 79 drivers. Congratulations on a nice gain up the field today. Is there anybody you want to shout out while we got you?
Well, thank you to you guys for the quality of the streams always. And always thank you to my team, Vanti Sports. They always support me with my crazy things, even if they go wrong. But yeah, thanks to you guys and them and all the community, because all the races today, the racers, were so clean and so educated, which it's really appreciated.
Absolutely. That was Kevin Jimenez there, finishing 17th, the newcomer, finding the joys of vintage racing here on iRacing. But we're going to close out. And of course, before we go, we want to mention our sponsor, the Majors Garage. Again, free Baseline Plus setups. Plus, they have coaching and all kinds of awesome stuff to help you get faster. Use our special discount code MajorsGSRC for 10% off. We got a link in the description below that'll take you right there. And we also want to thank the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage, and thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts that you see listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Ryan, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Check out our merchandise store as well. It's gsrc.storenv.com, and there's a link down in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment, because next week it'll be the Nürburgring. It is the big one of all racetracks throughout the world. Sunday, February 13th, 11:30 a.m. Eastern is when that kicks off. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar, because up next we have the Absolute Beginners League at Oulton Park at 2 p.m. Eastern. But right now, speaking of the Majors Garage, the Majors European race of the Daytona 500 is live. So if you want to check that out between Absolute Beginners are here, or if you just want to go finish watching that race, you are most welcome to. However, until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.